Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the words of the Beis Halevi and his Maimer Bitachon, in which we started yesterday, the next chapter, which is entitled Lo Rak Hishtadlus Eino Ma'ila. Not only does excessive Hishtadlus and effort turn out to be futile, Lefamim Tigram Ha'hipuch, sometimes it causes the exact opposite result. You work and you work and you work as hard as you want, thinking it's going to affect things in a positive vein, and in the end, it ends up coming back to bite the person. So the Rabbi, one of the great commentators on Mishlei, in Tanakh, he writes the following idea. And that is that if a person wants to undo the gezeres, the decrees that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has brought down. Now remember, Hashem makes a decree upon a person for a reason. If he decided that you're only going to make $100,000 this year, there's a reason why. If he decided you're going to be a millionaire, there's a reason why. If he decided it's going to be much less, and perhaps for some reason the check from Uncle Sam didn't arrive in the mail every single month like he thought it's supposed to, there's a reason for all of that. So when a person has decrees, and let's go into other things, there's sickness, there's health, there are shidduchim, there are children, there is reputation, there is shame, all different things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many different reasons in his complicated cheshbonos and the calculations that he is making of what is best for your neshama, why he does what he does. You want to come now and make extra efforts over here to heal yourself, to bring children, to bolster your reputation, to bring parnasa. So you're going to get involved into the world of Hishtadlus. Says the Rabbi, it's not going to help. If there are decrees against a person, if there are decisions that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made, and you want to overturn them, you want to make them better, there's only one way that you can do that. And that is, if a person will cling to Hashem, and he'll cling to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his ways to the best of their abilities, which means that he's going to be lifting and elevating himself up to higher levels of ruchnius, of spirituality, then you become a person who is a different person than the one that Hashem made the original decree upon. You look in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not the person who he said you don't deserve children, not the person who he said you're going to struggle this year with tremendous difficulty in Parnasa. You look like a person on a higher plane of existence spiritually, and therefore Hashem says, the original decree that I made upon you, it goes off right now. It's not for the new and improved you, and I can now bring you the brachas, the blessings that you are asking for. So don't think that the efforts in the physical world that a person is going to make is what's going to reap the benefits in life. Adarabba, on the other hand, says the Rabbi, and this is the way in which the Beis Halevi is explaining here as well, extra Hishtadlus is getting involved in the immersion in the curse. And from curses do not come brachas. Keep this in mind. From the curses that a person invests himself in, he will not see blessings in his life. However, if a person will invest in the blessings, and the bracha, the blessing in life is, the more that I attach myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more that I try and I strive to do His ratzon, His will in this world, as I try to be Mekadosh Shem Shemaim, to sanctify HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, then Hashem says the bracha can come down to you. But the opposite, as the Rabbi and the Beis Halevi and the other Mefarshim are saying over here, the opposite is not going to be true. So the Beis Halevi goes on and he says the following idea. He says, where do we see this? Where do we see this idea that if you get excessively involved in Hishtadlus, it's going to turn out to be a detriment to you? Well, like it says in the verse in Yeshaya, Beitzei tzifayni bikeu, the eggs of the viper, the akavish yarogu. So you have the eggs that have been woven in the spider's web. And the verse says, someone who eats these eggs of this particular kind of a snake that are trapped in the webs of the spider, they will die. Vahazure tibake efa. And the eggs are going to be crushed, and a viper is hatched. Now, what does this mean? Again, there are eggs that are woven into the spider's web. And if somebody eats of these eggs, they're going to die. And these eggs are like a crushed viper which is going to be hatched. Difficult verse to understand, but the Beis Halevi explains. Dima hishtadlusam lema'aseh beitzim lema'choloi. The hishtadlus, the human efforts that a person makes, is compared over here to someone who is collecting eggs for their food. And he takes these eggs, he incubates them, hoping that there is a chicken that is going to pop out from this egg to hatch, and he'll be able to eat the chicken. However, after all of his exertion, he gathered the eggs, he incubated the eggs, he watched over the eggs to make sure that there's going to be chicken there. Then she finds out after all of that, Gewalt, this was the egg of a snake. And as the incubating process comes to an end, the egg opens up and there's a snake that is waiting there, and the snake comes to harm him and to hurt him, not to be for food. So what do you see? If this person would have left the eggs alone, he wouldn't have made all of these efforts of collecting the eggs, and he would not have warmed them, he would not have incubated them, then certainly there would have been an issue of the snake coming and hurting him. Says the Beis Halevi from this pasuk over here, a person can gather and they can collect and they can try and they can incubate and they can put in hours and hours and hours of work, all for the sake of trying to get a chicken to hatch out of that egg, all for the sake of trying to make an extra dime, of getting the health that they want, of having the children that they desire, of having the kind of children in this world that they desire to have. You can try and try and try, says the Beis Halevi. However, if you don't know what's inside, and if you go around and you start collecting eggs that belong to snakes and not eggs that belong to chickens, at the end of the day, a snake will pop out and it will be mazik. It can end up hurting and harming you. And therefore, he's learning from here the extra hishtadlus that a person puts in to their lives, where they're gathering and using their energies for the sake of trying to bring about chickens to hatch out of their eggs or whatever brachas that they want. If you don't know what you're getting yourself into and you're collecting the wrong eggs, you're doing the wrong extra work, all that's going to happen is something will be mazik, something will end up, God forbid, damaging you in the end. And therefore, says the Beis Halevi, how careful we have to be to make sure that the hishtadlus that we put in is what's expected of us and not extra, because a person never knows the damages that they could end up causing. So we'll have much more to say about this. We're not going to leave off in this chapter on a sour note. Rather, we'll see that when a person is a beitech b'Hashem, the more that they trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more they are going to be able to use the world of Hishtadlus properly and serve Hashem with a whole heart. All the best.